I still remember the exact feeling in my gut the day I saw that Chevelle gone. Like something sacred got pissed on. My name's Ron Holloway. I'm 55 years old. Grew up in a small town outside Kearney, Nebraska. My old man walked out before I turned 6. Never looked back. My mom worked double shifts and barely kept the lights on, so it was my granddad who raised me. Hard man. Didn't say much, but when he did, it meant something. Every Saturday, rain or shine, I was in his backyard shop. We'd strip down old tractors, trucks, classic muscle. I learned quick, socket sets before Sega, torque specs instead of toys. That was our bond. He had this one car he treated like it was made of diamonds, a cherry red 1970s Chevelle SS 454. I was 10 when he let me sit in the driver's seat. The whole garage smelled like oil and old leather, and I swore right then, someday that car would be mine. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. He used to say, "That car's got heart, Ronnie, not like these plastic boxes nowadays." I believed him. That thing rumbled like thunder and shined like blood. He kept it perfect. Didn't let anyone else even breathe near it. I think it was the only thing he truly loved after Grandma passed. Then came '09. He died in his sleep. Quiet. Like everything else he did. No big fanfare. But when the will got read, the Chevelle didn't come to me. It went to my uncle, his only living son. That lazy bastard never lifted a wrench in his life. Within 6 months, he'd wrecked it, drove it drunk, cracked the frame, and sold it off for pennies. I didn't talk to him again. Never even showed up to the hospital when he got sick. That car wasn't just metal to me. It was the only thing I had left of my granddad, and he gave it to a man who'd never earned a damn thing in his life. After that, I made a vow. I'd rebuild that Chevelle. Not some other car, not a knockoff, not even one in better shape. That exact year, model, engine, frame up. I didn't care what it took. Not for shows, not to sell. For me. That's what got me through 70-hour weeks hauling freight, busting my back, skipping vacations, grinding through double shifts. Every busted knuckle, every dollar saved. It all pointed to that one promise. And I wasn't going to let anyone take that from me. Problem was, Carla never really got it. "Why not just buy a new Mustang?" she'd say, like we were talking about sneakers. I'd try to explain how every bolt I turned was a piece of my granddad's memory, how I wasn't just building a car, I was rebuilding something that got ripped out of me. She'd nod like she was listening, but her eyes always drifted back to her phone. Carla grew up different. Her family had money, quiet, smug money, big house in Omaha, country club friends, matching luggage sets. Her parents acted polite in front of me, but I knew what they thought, especially her mother. "Ron works with his hands," she told a neighbor once at Thanksgiving, all fake smiles. "He's very mechanical." Yeah, like I was a lawnmower. They never said it straight to my face, but the message was loud. Carla had married down. I was the project husband, reliable, unpolished, good for fixing gutters. And then there was Dustin, golden boy. Never held a job for more than 6 months, but always finding himself. When he got a DUI, his dad worked something out. When he blew through 2 semesters worth of tuition on crypto and vape shops, they just paid it off like a bar tab. Me? I skipped one family cruise to buy a rebuilt SS engine I found online, and Carla lit me up. "You're selfish," she snapped. "You'd rather sit in a freezing garage with a pile of junk than spend time with my family?" That one stung. But I didn't bite back. Just nodded, said, "You're right," and went back to work. I rented a concrete box of a garage on the edge of Lincoln. No heat, one flickering bulb. I'd go there after my shifts ended, hands already shot, back locked up. But when I stepped in that space, it all went quiet. I started with a stripped 70 shell I found in Kansas, sandblasted it myself. Frame was solid, brought it back piece by piece. Door panels from Georgia, interior from a guy in Ohio, rear axle from Idaho. Sourced a Muncie M22 like it was treasure. That rebuilt SS engine, 4 months of overtime paid for it, 5 years. That's how long it took me. Carla barely noticed, or pretended not to. She'd text me while I was elbow deep in grease, asking if I remembered to pick up almond milk. But that final bolt, the last polish, the first startup, God, I still hear that rumble in my bones. 600 horsepower, all mine. I took it to one show, small turnout, couple dozen cars, no sponsors, just local guys who knew what they were looking at. I didn't expect anything, just wanted to hear some honest feedback. Placed second. When they handed me that little plaque, I stood there like an idiot, just staring at it. Years of busting my ass, every sacrifice, every insult I swallowed. It all hit me in that one moment. I drove home with the windows down, exhaust shaking the mirror. Didn't even care that no one from Carla's side showed up. Didn't matter. I had done it. That car was mine. Every inch, every scar, every roar. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like something in this world finally paid off. I was still riding that high from the show when I got called into my boss's office the next Monday. "Ron, got a situation," he said, closing the door behind me. "Client in Germany. Site's a mess. They need a coordinator there. You'd fly out this Friday, stay 3 weeks, handle logistics, personnel, clean it up. It's a test. You do well, we talk about regional manager." He didn't have to sell it. I was in, extra pay, real career move, something permanent. I brought it up to Carla that night over dinner. She barely looked up from her phone. "What about Dustin's engagement party?" "It's not for another 2 weekends. I'll be back before then," I said. "This is a big deal. Could change everything for us." She stabbed at her salad. "Just don't leave that old car sitting in our driveway. The HOA already whines when you rev it too long." I stared at her for a second. "You serious right now?" She didn't answer, just reached for her wine. So I thought about it. Her parents had a 3-car garage in Omaha, heated, security cameras, barely used the space. It made sense. The next day I called her dad. "Hey, I'm flying out for a few weeks. Think I could store the Chevelle in your garage?" "Of course, Ron," he said right away. "We'll treat it like it's made of gold." I drove the car over that weekend. Full tank, oil fresh. I pulled him aside. "Don't drive it," I told him. "Just start it once a week. Let it idle 10 minutes. That's it." He nodded. "Got it. No one's touching it. You've got my word." Still, I didn't take chances. I printed out a checklist and taped it to the windshield. Installed a steering wheel lock, showed him where the cutoff switch was, went over everything twice. While I walked him through it, Carla stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "You're acting like it's a baby," she said. "No," I said. "I'm acting like it's the most valuable thing I own." She rolled her eyes so hard, I thought they'd fall out of her head. But I didn't care. That car was too important to screw around with. I flew out that Friday, Frankfurt, cold, rainy, full of moving parts, long hours, little sleep. I didn't even mind. I was getting the job done, and I could feel something shifting. My boss called me halfway through the trip just to say I was killing it. "You might want to clear your schedule in October," he said. "Big things coming." I grinned like a damn fool when I hung up. 3 weeks. That's all I had to get through. Just 3 weeks. Keep my head down, do the job, and come back to my Chevelle exactly how I left it. That's what I thought, but I should have known better. I landed early August, dead tired but wired. Germany was a win. Boss shook my hand, told me I had a future in leadership, said we'd talk raises and promotions after quarter end. Didn't even go home. Took an Uber straight to Carla's parents' place in Omaha to pick up the Chevelle. Had that nervous excitement in my chest, like seeing an old friend. Her mom opened the door all teeth. "You're just in time. Dustin's back from Bali." I nodded, forcing a half smile. "Cool. Where's the car?" She stepped aside, still grinning. No Chevelle in the driveway. I walked into the garage, empty. Not even oil spots where I'd left it. I turned back around. "Where is it?" She raised her eyebrows, lips curling into a smirk. "Thanks to your car, Dustin finally got the break he needed." I let out a short laugh. "What?" She blinked. "What's so funny?" That smile dropped quick. I walked inside, heart thumping. Her dad was sunk into his recliner, watching golf with the volume way too high. He didn't even look at me. Carla came around the corner a second later, arm hooked in Dustin's. He was wearing some overpriced loafers and a button-down that probably cost more than my flight. "Ronnie," Dustin said, like we were old pals. "Crazy timing, man. We were just talking about you." I didn't bother with pleasantries. "Where's my Chevelle?" The whole room stiffened. Carla stepped in front of Dustin like she was guarding royalty. "Ron, don't do this right now," she said. I ignored her. "Where is my car?" Her dad finally muted the TV and stood up. rubbing his hands together like he was working up to something. Ron, it's not what you think. That set me off. Not what I think, I said, stepping toward him. Did you sell my goddamn car? He held up his hands. Dustin had an opportunity. It was a once-in-a-lifetime acting camp in LA. We didn't have time to apply for loans. You weren't using the car. I cut him off. You sold it? Carla jumped in. You're overreacting. My hands were shaking. You forged the title? She crossed her arms. It's just a car, Ron. No, it wasn't. That was 5 years of blood and hours and grit. That was my granddad's ghost, my sanity, my identity. I had told them not to touch it, made it crystal clear. 30,000, her dad said, like he was proud of the deal. Cash went toward Dustin's travel, his housing, his classes, his wardrobe. Dustin was beaming. Dude, LA is wild, and this car guy, total collector, said it was one of the cleanest SS builds he'd seen in years. I couldn't breathe, felt like the room was closing in. My ears rang. I stumbled back a step, clutching the doorframe. I wasn't even mad in that moment. I was wrecked. You forged a title? I asked, barely able to get it out. We made it look clean, Carla said. It's not a big deal. You're getting promoted. You can build another one. No, I said, voice low. I built that one. I looked at her like I was seeing her for the first time. Cold, detached, like none of it mattered. Like I hadn't told them exactly what that car meant to me. I turned and walked out before I did something I'd regret. Didn't hear a word behind me. Just my boots on the concrete, fists clenched, lungs burning. By the time I hit the sidewalk, I couldn't see straight. They sold my goddamn soul for Dustin's acting camp. I barely made it to the end of the block before I yanked out my phone and called Nate. He picked up on the first ring. You back? I need to know if you still got it. He didn't ask which it. You're CHEVELLE? Locked in my shop, covered, untouched. I stopped walking, felt the rage twist into something sharper. So they sold the replica? Looks that way, he said. Vin's gone from my backup. I checked when you landed, didn't feel right. We had a deal. If I ever left town, he'd store my real one and park the twin, his replica build, at the address I gave. Same color, same trim, same plates, just in case. People steal, people lie. I never thought it'd be my own damn in-laws. I'm picking you up in 10, Nate said. I stood outside a CVS until I saw his black truck pull up. I climbed in, didn't speak much, didn't need to. We drove straight back to Carla's parents' place. This time, I didn't knock. I walked in like I owned the place. Her dad was back on the couch, golf on full blast again. Carla's mom was in the kitchen with a glass of wine, talking to someone on speaker. Carla and Dustin were lounging on the back patio, laughing like none of this meant a thing. I stepped in the living room and stood between her dad and the TV. Hey, I said, about that car you sold. He looked up slow. Ron, we already went over this. You sold the wrong one. Silence. You didn't steal from me, I said. You stole from Nate. Carla's mom turned, glass halfway to her mouth. It slipped, hit the tile, and shattered. Dustin popped up like a groundhog. Wait, what? Nate stepped in behind me, calm as ever, pulled out his phone, tapped twice, and turned the screen toward them. This is the vine of the car you sold, he said. It's mine, registered to my shop in Waverly. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. Her dad blinked like he'd just been slapped. Carla came inside and leaned on the kitchen counter, white as chalk. You tricked us, she said. I laughed once, cold. You forged a title. You committed fraud. And now you're mad you got tricked? Dustin mumbled something about being misled. Carla's mom reached for paper towels with shaking hands. Nate stayed cool. This doesn't have to get ugly, but it will if I don't get answers, fast. I didn't say another word. I went upstairs, packed 2 duffel bags, and came back down. Carla followed me. Ron, wait, where are you going? I didn't stop moving. Staying at Nate's until we figure out how deep this goes. Figure what out, she said, voice rising. This is all some stupid setup to punish my family. I turned at the door. No, this is me not playing dumb anymore. I walked out, Nate behind me, didn't even slam the door, just left it swinging. By the time we pulled into Nate's driveway, Carla had already sent 6 texts. Ron, please come back. We didn't mean to hurt you. We can talk about this. You're overreacting. I put the phone on silent, didn't even want to see her name. Next morning, her mom left a voicemail. You embarrassed the family. This is between relatives. Why are you dragging outsiders into it? I didn't answer. Nate and I sat down with his lawyer that afternoon. She was sharp, cold, and didn't blink. Wire fraud, grand theft over 10, forged documentation, and selling property that wasn't legally theirs, she said. Yeah, this sticks. Dustin called me 2 days later. I didn't recognize the number. Man, I didn't know, he said, voice cracking. They told me it was theirs to sell. I swear I wouldn't have touched it if I knew. I hung up mid-sentence. 2 days after that, Carla showed up at my job. She was crying before she even stepped through the lobby. Security recognized her and called me down. She ran toward me like we were in some cheesy movie. Ron, please, we can fix this. Don't ruin everything over a stupid car. I didn't raise my voice, didn't make a scene, just looked her dead in the eye. You ruined it, I said. You stood by while your family sold another man's property. You lied about it. You expect trust after that? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Just a whimper. I walked away. That night, the text got nastier. You're just bitter. Why are you doing this to us? You could have let it go. Word got around fast. Carla's entire family turned on me. Her uncle emailed me asking, why are you trying to destroy your own wife's family? Her sister posted something vague on Facebook about men who can't let go of the past. I moved out of our apartment and filed for legal separation. Didn't tell her. Let the papers speak. Through all that, Nate still hadn't recovered his car. The guy who bought it used a fake name on the bill of sale. All we had was the bank wire record. Finally, a week later, we got a lead. Nate's lawyer called with info pulled from the wire trace. Name's Peter Hanks, lives in Des Moines. Wire came from a local bank branch. Notes say he bought a 1970 Chevelle from family friend. Nate looked at me across the kitchen table. Let's go get my damn car. I nodded. Tomorrow? I asked. He smirked. First thing. We didn't say much after that, but in my gut, I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. We rolled into Des Moines just past 9 the next morning. Peter Hanks's shop sat on the edge of town. Old red brick, hand-painted sign, 3 custom bikes lined up in front like showroom trophies. Guy came out wiping his hands on a shop rag. 50s, gray ponytail, denim shirt. Friendly face, but guarded. He clocked the Nebraska plates and narrowed his eyes. You fellas looking for work or trouble? Nate stepped forward. We're here about the Chevelle, the SS you bought last month. Hanks's posture changed instantly. What about it? I pulled out a folder. VIN records, photos, title logs, all prepped by Nate's lawyer. It was never theirs to sell, I said. Car belongs to him, and I pointed to Nate. Hanks looked through the papers, slow and quiet. Didn't speak for a solid minute. I bought this legit, he said finally. Met the family myself. Had paperwork, signatures, the whole deal. Already registered it. Got it insured too. No one's accusing you of anything shady, Nate said calmly. You got scammed, same as I did. I'll refund every cent, and throw in $3,000 for the hassle. Hank scratched his jaw. $3,000? Cash, Nate said. Peter blew out a breath and shook his head. Knew something felt off. That kid kept dodging questions. Said it was his uncle's pride and joy, but didn't know the engine code. He turned, waved us toward the garage. Come on, it's safe inside. Did a few cosmetic things, nothing major. The Chevelle sat parked next to a Harley, a little dust on the hood, but otherwise untouched. New wheels, aftermarket radio, different floor mats, nothing we couldn't undo. Nate ran his hand along the fender, then nodded. She's still ours. By the time we left, Peter had his refund, and the legal paperwork signed. Nate's lawyer sent over the settlement demand the next morning. Carla's parents had 60 days to pay $21,000 or face charges, theft, wire fraud, forged docs, the works. 2 days later, Carla showed up outside Nate's shop, again. Tears, this time real. Ron, I'll help pay. We can fix this. I didn't know they forged anything. I kept my distance. You didn't ask. You didn't care. You stood there while they sold a man's property and called it no big deal. She stepped closer. Don't throw away our marriage over a damn car. I laughed, sharp and bitter. That's your problem. You still think it's just a car. She blinked fast, didn't speak. I turned around and walked back inside. Filed divorce papers that Friday. Didn't look back. I signed a lease on a one-bedroom above a barber shop 2 blocks from Nate's garage. Nothing fancy, old hardwood floors, window AC that rattled when it ran. But it was mine. Quiet. Clean. Every Saturday and Sunday, I was back under the hood. New project. A 72 El Camino. I picked up from a guy in Missouri. Needed work. Frame was good, but everything else was half done or half-assed. Perfect. I needed something to strip down and rebuild, just like myself. A week in, Carla's mom sent me a letter. Flowery handwriting on some cheap stationery that still smelled like perfume. "I hope you'll remember the good times," she wrote. "No family is perfect." I didn't even finish it, tore it in half and blocked her number. A few days later, Carla sent a payment. $1,000, wired to Nate's lawyer. Nate looked at the email, shook his head, and laughed once. Don't need their blood money. He had it sent straight to a veterans car rehab charity in Lincoln. Didn't even blink. Word got around pretty quick after that. Someone, probably from the bike shop in Des Moines, posted the whole story on a classic car forum. From there, it spread like fire. Dustin deleted all his socials, moved back in with mommy and daddy. Rumor was he bailed on LA after his networking dried up, and his acting coach kicked him out for missing half the classes. Carla got dragged online. People dug through old Facebook posts, clipped out quotes like, "It's just a car," and turned them into memes. She tried to post a vague apology. That lasted about 6 hours before she took it down. Me? I kept my head down, went to therapy once a week, talked about grief, betrayal, control, all the crap I'd buried behind horse torque and steel. My boss called me into the office end of that quarter, offered me the regional lead role, said the Germany trip sealed it. Bigger paycheck, new office, company truck. I shook his hand and accepted on the spot. Nate and I kept wrenching nights and weekends. We started flipping projects for collectors. Word of mouth spread fast. People trusted us because we didn't polish stories. We just delivered the cars, clean and honest. I never spoke to Carla again. Never replied to her last text. Never clicked on the missed call. She had her shot. She made her choice, and I made mine. 1 year to the day. I backed the Chevelle out of Nate's shop into the morning light, and it looked like fire on 4 wheels. That cherry red paint caught the sun just right. Clean, deep, loud, without saying a word. I let it idle while I grabbed my thermos and gear bag. Nate was already parked out front in his Silverado, sipping coffee, waiting with that half grin like always. We were heading to a little car rally outside Kansas City. Just 2 guys, 2 machines, and 100 miles of open road. Nothing fancy, no sponsors, no trophies. Just people who knew what they were looking at. We fueled up at a gas station about 30 miles out. I walked in, grabbed a coffee, came back out, and caught an older man standing beside the Chevelle, just staring. He turned as I approached. "That's the cleanest SS I've seen in decades." I smiled. "Built it myself." He nodded, real slow. "That's a damn fine way to live." Didn't need to say anything else. He knew. We hit the highway after that. Just pavement and engine noise and sun cutting through the windshield. And somewhere between the state line and a stretch of cracked asphalt that barely passed for a road, it all hit me. I'd lost a marriage, burned bridges I never thought I'd touch, got trashed by people I once sat across the table from every holiday. People who said they loved me, then turned around and stole like I didn't matter. But I got something back too. I got my pride, I got my sense of right and wrong, and I got my damn self-respect. That Chevelle, it wasn't just bolts and paint. It was a boundary, a line nobody crossed without consequences. Proof that no matter what they took, they didn't break me. Not the liars, not the ones who thought blood made them untouchable, not the ones who said family like it meant ownership. I earned this car, earned this peace, and I'll be damned if anyone ever steals that from me again. The Chevelle growled as I dropped into third. Sun was high, wind just right, road wide open. Felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be,